thank you, everyone, for taking the time. I know how busy Sundays are, and I appreciate people taking the time. The way you win an election is to go out to the people with a set of ideas and organize people and not let conventional wisdom or mainstream media tell you what the fate of the election is going to be, because the fate of the election actually is controlled in our neighborhoods, not in our daily newspapers. This community will be crucial. This community will be crucial. You know, Bloomberg came to you in '09, didn't tell you why you were so crucial. I can tell you up front, because Rabbi Pikus is right, the community is growing, and growing in political impact, because it will be a close election, as we've seen time and time again. This age we're living in is the age of close elections. We've seen some that were unbelievable in recent years. Ones, 5 votes, 10 votes, 100 votes. But I think we've all gotten the memo that every single vote counts. And I think if this community stands up and says, we want a different kind of leadership, we want a kind of leadership that's actually connected to us, where it's a given. We want a hearing at City Hall on an issue. It's a given you're going to get it. When I think about the child care vouchers, first of all, it's a shame that we had to fight year in and year out just for poor families, large families who needed child care. That never should have been to begin with. But I'm proud of the fact that each and every year I stood up. I am disgusted that in 2009, Mayor Bloomberg came to this community, begged and pleaded for support, knowing what we all didn't know as well, that the support of this community would be one of the only ways he could win. Took the support, turned around, and took away every single voucher for this community. The chutzpah of that is unbelievable and inappropriate and unfair, you name it. And I think it's what was said before. I think he, and like many other leaders, did not take the time to truly learn the community, to truly create consistency of relationship, understanding, and a sense of, and that's your, how dare you, Leon, not be in Manhattan? What were you thinking? And I think Leon's right again. You saw a government that more and more became Manhattan first, everyone else second. When we did a report a few weeks ago on how small businesses have been treated by this administration, very harshly, very unfairly, very inappropriately, because the approach to small business by this administration has been treating small business like an ATM, which has done what? It has caused some small businesses to fail and others to be unable to hire more people. I see Ari Noah nodding because he knows exactly. In fact, I think Ari was one of the people when we stood together on the steps of City Hall in 2008. I think you showed me one of the most amazing examples ever of the single sign with the $100,000 in fines on it. I mean, something has gone mad here, where the people who produce the jobs and the revenue for the city government were attacked consistently in a counterproductive way, but worse, and this is what a report showed 3 weeks ago, with a systematic pattern of bias against the outer boroughs. If you're a business in Manhattan, you are much less likely to be inspected and fined than one in the outer boroughs. So, the whole Bloomberg dynamic, especially in the third term, proved to be one, not listening, not connected to the grassroots, not fair to the outer boroughs, not fair to small business, not fair to this community, particularly in the case of the vouchers. And I have a simple goal, and I'm not for a moment belittling how difficult the economic circumstance will be, the fiscal circumstance, but my goal is clear. I want to restore those vouchers because it's the right thing to do. Because our families need it. And you know I have focused my campaign on issues of children and family and education. It is important for people outside the community to say in public, and I've said it repeatedly and I will continue to, that this community takes care of so many of its own needs and does not burden the community. So when the community has a special need, like the child care vouchers, it is not some kind of giveaway, it's actually an act of fairness. Beyond the question that those children need help and we should be committed to every child. beyond the question that a larger family has particular struggles and stresses and deserves help, there is a question of fairness. If one community does not avail itself of the public schools, does not need the same public safety help, in large measure because of the Shomrim, does not need some of the same medical help because of Hatzolah, etc., etc., etc. I think the pattern's clear. Then why isn't it fair for the public sector to balance the equation? And some of the particular efforts that would help, like the vouchers, but also in terms of the response to the nonprofits. No one's ever done that math publicly, but I think it's crucial that the public of this city hear that. The nonprofits have been treated a little better than the small businesses, but it's the same model. It's the ATM model, right? So how do they find a way to take money out of your pocket, like the sanitation fees, which are ludicrous from my point of view.
Fire inspection fees, right?
And
fire inspection fees.
All of the things that take out your pocket, and then forget to give you the reimbursements you're owed at the same time. So it's a very clever approach to cash flow. Take money from you and not return the money that's owed you. This would not be acceptable in any situation, but it's even more unacceptable if you know what's happened to the nonprofits, and I do, and this is another example of the mayor being disconnected from reality. You've seen your financial reality fundamentally undermined. You've been battling, depending on the organization, federal, state, city cuts, but also private support. And I've talked to so many charitable people in this community who their own economic realities have been stressed, but then every organization is turning to them even more because of the needs that have been created by the bad economy and what's happened to government. So I want to relieve that pressure. I want to take away, for example, the sanitation fees. And I want to speed the reimbursements, because in many cases you are an extension of the work the government is trying to get done, right? So if you're basically doing for government which government needs, and in many cases you're doing it better than government could,
at a lower cost.
At a lower cost, we've got to reduce the burden on you. And I want to see us take seriously the security needs of this community, which is why I think I've seen some very good work from the NYPD, ably assisted by the Shomrim. I want to keep that commitment high, but I also want to see everything we can do to protect yeshivas that I understand could always be targets and need protection. And that is a public responsibility, security cameras, etc. So, the things I want to work on, the priorities I have in large measure come out of experience I've had with leaders, with organizations, with the people of this community. I also understand that the mayor of New York City has a very special obligation to be one of the strongest voices in the world in defense of the state of Israel. And I went to Israel a year and a half ago with the JCRC, and unlike my previous trips, saw each of the borders. And you only have to see it once to understand the danger Israel's in, and to understand the mayor of New York City has to be one of its chief defenders. And I intend to be. And one of the things I'm very proud of I've done as public advocate is our Iran watch list. Because I realize that there's a place for the public sector to get involved, not just wait on what will happen at the federal level. And I think we're all clear that Iran must be stopped before it has nuclear weapons, by whatever means it takes. I have been through a lot of elections, as some of you know. I think the history of elections tells you it's not where you start, it's where you end.